Alright, I think it's safe to say now that we probably shouldn't let bands produce their own biopics. So The Dirt tells the crazy-ass story of debauchery, drugs, sex, and rock and roll of the band Motley Crue from the time that the band was conceived to about 15-20 years up into their career where they finally reunited with Vince Neil and took on the world once again. Alright guys, well The Dirt, the official biopic based off of the book, based off of the band Motley Crue. It was actually written by all four of the band members, and this was also produced by all four of those band members, has dropped on Netflix. It was something that I was really curious about. Thought the trailer looked pretty good. Motley Crue has never been one of my favorite bands of all time, but it's always been a band that I liked quite a bit. Like, I know all their hits. I know quite a few of the deep cuts. They're a band that I do enjoy. I know a lot of the storyline that this movie gets into, so they're a band I'm very familiar with, and it was a biopic that I was very curious to check out. So let's get into it. What's good, what's bad, what's ugly about The Dirt? Starting right off with the positives regarding The Dirt, this is an entertaining movie. This is a very entertaining biopic, especially if you're a fan of the band. You kind of know the tone of where things are gonna go, how wild and how just raunchy everything's about to be from the get. This is a fun, entertaining movie to check out. You kind of are along the ride with the band. The music is fun. Like, Motley Crue's always been one of those more fun metal bands, despite having some dark elements in some of their music and being one of the more evil-themed hair metal bands, whether you like that term or not, back on the Sunset Strip days. But this is a film, regardless if you're a diehard fan of Motley Crue, a casual fan of Motley Crue, or just know one or two songs you heard off the radio, it is an entertaining presentation of their story.
We got a runaway, a kid drummer, an old man.
Let's just play it.
A cover band singer.
They say you're gonna be a rock star.
What do you think?
Holy shit.
Moving on from that, I think all four of the actors, for the most part, deliver pretty good representations of those four characters. I mean, I'm sure Vince Neil and Nikki Sixx and Mick Mars and Tommy Lee were all on set kind of giving them pointers and kind of mentoring them and telling them how they act, what their tics are, what they would say, what they wouldn't say. I don't know the level of their involvement, how much they were on set, but I'm sure that it was pretty heavily. So they do portray these characters pretty well. They embody them very well. They're not going for Oscar caliber, captivating performance like Rami Malek did with Freddie Mercury, but they're just going to kind of nail what these characters are, what their personalities are, and what they bring to the band, and I think they accomplished that pretty well. Even Machine Gun Kelly, hey, who would have thunk it? I also think they did a really good job at capturing not only the look of the four band members throughout the different eras of this band, but also the look of the concerts, the look of the music videos. They really do capture Motley Crue in a bubble. What does a concert, what does a music video, what does the band embody visually? I think they do a really good job at kind of capturing all of that throughout the different eras of the band.
If we want to knock people on their asses, then we've got to give them a show. I'm talking like a stadium show in the clubs. The fans, they're dying for some anarchy. So let's give it to them.
And my final positive is, if you're somebody that likes all of the dirt, no pun intended, if you want to know all the gritty, all the dirty shit that the band was into, all the bad times as well as the good times, this movie doesn't really shy away from all the dark stuff that the band was into. Doesn't shy away from the mistakes that they've made, doesn't shy away from some of the shit they did that they probably regret, and that is refreshing. Being that the band produced the movie, could have very easily just kind of sugar-coated everything, could have kind of pushed a lot of things underneath the rug and just focused like they were martyrs in a way, but they don't. They don't shy away from any of it, and that is a little bit refreshing, because not many biopics will do that.
Motley Crue, no strangers to controversy.
Vince Neil was charged with vehicular manslaughter.
Tommy Lee and Heather Locklear have separated.
It's a degenerative bone disease.
Nikki Sixx has overdosed.
I know it's not gonna be easy, but I believe in you guys.
Now, moving on to the negatives. Not comparing this movie to Bohemian Rhapsody, because they are two completely different things, but if you saw my top of the year, Bohemian Rhapsody was one of my favorite films of last year. And I found myself defending it a lot from a lot of people that thought that, and Queen fans especially, which fair enough, if you know a lot of the facts, this would annoy you, that the movie does kind of shift around the timeline and arrange the facts and shove in a little bit of fiction with the intent of focusing on telling a story, and with the intent of focusing on telling a character arc and a character growth of Freddie Mercury, and kind of being a tribute overall to him, and being a vehicle for Rami Malek to bring that guy to life. So they do all of that kind of stuff to tell a story, to bring a character to life, which is what a movie overall should do. Found myself defending it a lot for that. And I had a lot of people that were saying that Bohemian Rhapsody and the approach that those kinds of biopics take is not as good as just kind of showing all the facts, showing us everything that happened, diving into all the events of the band. And I'm here to tell you that The Dirt is literally the yin to the yang of Bohemian Rhapsody. For everybody that did not like what Bohemian Rhapsody and what biopics like that does, The Dirt gives you exactly what you were asking for, which is not focusing on characters, not focusing on telling a cohesive story and having a cohesive flow to it and actually being a movie and a form of storytelling, but more so just going through literally every main event of this band's career up to a certain point when they stop the movie. And I don't care for that as much, so that's a negative for me. I much prefer if you kind of give me characters that I can invest in, you actually take the time to let me invest in them, give me something to grab onto with these characters aside from a name that I recognize, and take me on this journey of Motley Crue. Some people will say they do that, but the journey they take you on in this is literally like a dramatized version of Behind the Music. It's like Tommy Lee, Vince Neil, Nikki Sixx, and Mick Mars sat in a trailer, wrote on a piece of notebook paper a bunch of bullet points of events in their career that they wanted to see in this movie. They handed it to the director and said, put this in your movie, and the director said, okay, and they made this movie, and you literally go from event, 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 and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then he died of an overdose, and then he got into a car wreck and killed somebody, and then he married Heather Locklear, and then he divorced Heather Locklear, and then his daughter died, and then this happened, and it's like there's no fucking pace or flow to this movie as far as how you experience these stories. It's just event, 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 event. Some people like that. Some people like that behind the music approach. For me, I prefer storytelling. I prefer character interactions. I prefer character growth. And I didn't get any of that from The Dirt. And if they wanted to hit a lot of these big bullet points, that is important to a degree. Like, especially with Vince Neil. Like, the two main things that happened to Vince Neil are probably the most, like, epically devastating things that have happened to this band as far as things you can really like emotionally invest yourself in, especially one. And they should take their time kind of diving into that. Like, it's not really a spoiler alert because this is common knowledge if you're a metal fan, but like when Vince Neil gets in the car wreck and kills the guy, the movie just skates past it. Like, they have the car wreck scene, the dude dies, the next time we see him, he's cleaned up, he's back in the band, and he's all like, you know, sensitive that they're gonna hold it against him, and the movie just skates past it. You fucking killed a guy, and the movie's like, next, debauchery, sex, drugs, baby. And if you know who the director is, this is the guy that made all the Jackass movies and made Bad Grandpa. It makes sense why his film is structured that way, because all of his films and his filmography are structured of skit, skit, skit with a little bit of connective tissue between each of those. And that's kind of the approach he took for this movie is bullet point event, bullet point event, bullet point event, and some transition scenes in between. And it has the same exact flow of his other films. So that might just be the director's fault as a storyteller, somebody that's never really had to tell a story before this film. But I don't know where the blame lies. Is it the director? Is it the kind of interaction with the band and how much kind of creative control they had on the storytelling? I don't know. All I can tell you is that despite having some very good moments in here and some entertaining moments, and one especially emotional moment, the chain of events of this band just did not seem to have a flow to it in this movie whatsoever. And I think it could have really done the story and the legacy of these guys a huge favor to take a different approach. My next big negative. This is a music biopic, right? Where the fuck is the music? They focus on the opening riff of Livewire. They play a music video within the early part of their career. You get snippets of like Home Sweet Home where he's playing on the piano. It's like, oh, that must be when he came up with the little piano thing. But the movie doesn't really embrace the music and bring the music to the forefront. And to me, it's like, why would you do that? Like, I understand you're focusing more on the debauchery and everything like that, and that's cool, but you're here because you're bringing us music. You're remembered and you're loved and you have a legacy because of your music. Where the fuck is the music in this movie? They should have had more scenes where they talk about how certain songs came to play and which person kind of came up with the idea for this, or maybe some creative choices, like whenever they really honed in on the making of Bohemian Rhapsody in that film. Not to keep comparing it, but just that's the most recent thing I can compare it to. But it just felt like, aside from the whole thing about how the opening riff to Livewire was some huge revolutionary thing, 2 fucking notes, that they never really embraced the storytelling side of showing where the music came from and how the music was a part of their legacy. And the final negative that I have, which is more of a nitpick, is that it feels to me, and this is why I say that bands should not be producing their own biopics, aside from some of the things I've already listed. It feels to me that even though they are embracing the darker side of their past and the mistakes that they made and the dumb shit that they did, the movie very subtly and creatively kind of adds little excuses in there to kind of get them off. Watch the movie again and notice this. Like, every single thing that they do that's a huge mistake, they kind of throw in something that's like, oh, well, it wasn't quite their fault because of this. Like the whole thing where like Tommy Lee smacks the shit out of his girlfriend. Immediately before that, his girlfriend is fucking Nikki Sixx, so y'all automatically don't like her, and then she's mouthing off and saying all this vile stuff about his mom, so he smacks a woman, but you're on his side about it. Whether or not it actually played out like that or not, I have no idea. Maybe that's 100% truth, but there's quite a few moments in the movie where something bad happens and the movie inserts something as like an excuse or like a gateway drug to kind of let the audience not really lose their sympathy for the band. And I feel like if you're gonna embrace the dark side, you should also put the message out there that that shit should not be happening. And it doesn't really feel like the movie does that. It doesn't feel like there's this moral character growth with the band. And it seems awful convenient that they cut it off at a certain point in their career, like the next 20 years, I'm sure nothing ever happened. Not a single fucking joint was lifted, not a single beer was drank, not a single hooker was brought in, nothing. No debauchery for the next 20 years. Story's over, guys. Not so much. But overall, guys, this is an innocent movie. This is not a movie that you really even have to pay for. Yes, you pay for your Netflix subscription, but that's money that we don't even really think about when it gets taken out every single month. Most of us do. So when the fact that it's dropped online, for all intents and purposes, free for you to watch, this is a totally innocent watch. It is entertaining. I do encourage everybody to check it out, whether you're a Motley Crue fan or not, just depending on your tolerance for like sexual content, because it's pretty heavy in this movie. But overall, as far as storytelling, as far as telling a captivating story, as far as really getting me attached to these 4 guys throughout the character growth that they go through throughout their career, the movie really drops the ball with that. So this is not how I think biopics should be made. I think this is more like a dramatized version of Behind the Music, and if you're into that, this movie totally delivers it, but entertaining nonetheless.
Motley Crue, here all week!
So if you're a fan of the band, or if you're just a fan of music biopics and you want to see the legacy of Motley Crue come to life, you're going to see a whole lot of shit that they did. I don't know if you're going to be invested in the characters so much though, but the music, whether you like the movie or not, you should definitely check out. But it's already online, so you already know my rating. Check this motherfucker out. Stream it. So what do you guys think of The Dirt? Are you a huge Motley Crue fan, a casual fan, you don't like them at all? Do you enjoy the way that this movie presents their story? Do you feel like they missed the ball a little bit? Do you prefer kind of the teasing of the facts a little bit to tell a more captivating story and a more captivating character growth type of biopic? Or do you just want all the facts and you want to go through all the events of the band? Which type of biopic fan are you? And what's your favorite Motley Crue song? Put that down below too. Let's have some fun with that one. Mine is probably Wild Side. That's always been my favorite. So let me know down below, favorite Motley Crue song. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. If you want to check out the video description below, you'll find my social media links like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spreadshirt for Cody Leach merchandise, other t-shirts, stuff like that, designed by the great Woody Bowen, and my Patreon page, which is a great way to give back to this channel, help this channel grow, and get cool exclusive content for your eyes only if you decide to become a patron. So check all that out, guys, and if you want to check out some more of my reviews, you can check that out by clicking right over here.